Welcome. My name is Colleen Tauke and I'm the sewing specialist here at Fons and Porter. In this Quilting Quickly tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make little baskets. If you'd like to purchase this pattern, please visit our website. We've created some little baskets here you could use in your sewing room to keep things from rolling off your sewing center, and they are made from 10-inch squares. So you need a 10-inch square for the outside of the basket, one for the inside of the basket, and a third that you're going to cut into pieces that you can use as the trim around the top of the basket. Or it could be a scrap if you have big enough. Just go by the dimensions in the pattern for the size for that band. The other things you're going to need are some lightweight interfacing, and you're ready to make some baskets. So in this example, you start with a 10-inch square, and you're going to cut it down. We've got leftover 10-inch squares a lot from our pre-cuts. You're going to be cutting it down into, I think it's a 7-inch square if I'm correct. Let me double check my measurement here quick. It is a 9-inch square. So 9-inch here, and we're going to be putting bars on both sides. We've adjusted the measurement just so we get a nice dimension for our basket. And a lot of times when you have 10-inch pre-cuts, you may use some of them in a project and not all of them. So here we go with something fun. We're putting bars on both sides, on two sides, and seaming along here, presser seam allowances, and that's going to be the outer portion of your bag, or your basket, I'm sorry. And here I have layered it up already with my batting. I've gone in and done some really simple straight line quilting. This is a fun way to just maybe even practice some free motion quilting. If you like to do straight lines, you can do cross hatching. I've got another example partway done. This is a simple cross hatch. So this is a fun place where you could practice some of your machine quilting skills. So once you get your quilting done on this, you're going to go in and trim the batting all the way up to the fabric so that you can construct the outer portion of your bag from this block. Now you could make these, I made this one kind of as a patriotic that you could use in the summertime, maybe for a 4th of July event. It's made out of cloth, but you could put pre-wrapped candies or M&Ms in it. Okay, so we've got this nice quilted little piece ready to go. And now what we need to do is create the boxing effect that you see here. Now that's simply done by, I'll fold this back, folding the piece in half, aligning the two bars right over the top of each other, and you're going to put a 1/4-inch seam along here. If we're starting with this one, I'm going to start here. I'm going to align. I'm going to take a peek because I'd like to have that stripe match up nicely. So I will align here and just do a simple 1/4-inch seam along both ends. And I'll do this one. I've got one side already done. Let's do the second side so that we can actually make the outer portion of our bag. And when I said match those up, I'm going to drop a pin in right at that intersection where the two fabrics meet, and again at the other side so that my band goes nicely around the top of my basket, just like you pin match when you're making a block. Then it's a 1/4-inch seam down the side. Take your pin out as you approach with the sewing machine there so we don't end up hitting anything. So we go through all those layers really nicely. Okay. Now in order to create those corners of my basket, I'm going to pinch by folding this seam somewhat open. If it reduces the bulk a little bit, if you can open that seam up. And then I need to mark along that edge. Now, our rulers have a 1/4-inch or a 45-degree line across them. So what we need to do is lay that 45-degree line along the outer edge of the basket. And I believe in the pattern it's 1 3/4 to the tip. So I'm going to slide it back, so 1 3/4 to the tip. That's where I draw my line for my stitching. Now since this is on the inside, an ink pen won't hurt it any, but you would probably want to use a fabric friendly marking pen, but I need it to be dark enough for you to see. And this is going to be my stitching line here. So, without shifting anything, I take it to the machine, and I want to take a couple stitches in place at the very beginning because it's going to hold the shape of the basket. Go across. Got those seams kind of popped open so that's not super thick in one spot. Take a couple little stitches at the other end. Take that out. And now we're going to trim away the excess because we don't need that triangle on the interior of our basket. So we trim both sides like that. And now if I turn this right sides out, we have the outer portion of our basket ready to go. So let's set this part aside. Now we need to do the interior of our basket. And again, we've got square fabric. We're going to do the exact same process, cutting it to the size the pattern calls for. We're going to be cutting this in half so that we have two pieces like this. The reason for this step is that we want to have an opening in the bottom interior of our basket so we can turn the entire thing inside out. It's our turning spot, and it's easily hidden in the bottom of our basket. So by splicing that in half, using two rectangles, we can get that shape that we need. Then to the back side, remember I said lightweight interfacing. This is a fusible interfacing with a beaded side, which is a glue side, to the back side of your rectangles. You need to apply that, follow the instructions that come with your interfacing for the time and temperature setting for your iron, and you're going to apply that to the back side of the fabrics. And I can just heat one up here. It doesn't take really too long. You do want to be careful that you keep that interfacing right on top of the fabric and not off the side, because we don't want to adhere the interfacing to our ironing surface, and then it might transfer to other fabrics. That would not be a good thing. So we just quickly heat those. If you haven't used interfacing before, be very careful that you have the glue side to the back side of the fabric. Why do I say that? Because I have done it wrong before and stuck it to the bottom of my iron. So you don't want to have that glue smell in your sewing center. Okay, once it's adhered, and see, it doesn't take very long. And now it has more body. It's not quite as thin, and it will have more structure for your basket. We're going to take right sides together, and you're going to sew along one end, halfway across, and I'm going to make a mark. So you're going to sew from here all around the corner to here. Then you're going to leave maybe a 2-inch opening or so, and you're going to sew from this side, 1/4-inch seam, around to here. And that's going to be your turning spot. Once you're done with that, you're then going to do the same process to make the ends, the squared off ends that we did with the outer portion of your basket. So I've done that already here and trimmed away those triangles, so I have the interior of my basket. Remember that spot where we left and we didn't stitch? Well, that's the hole for turning. So it kind of looks like a Kleenex box at this point. Okay, now we need to put these two pieces together. What we need to do is put one inside the other. Right sides facing, so the pretty sides are against each other. And we're going to stitch around the very top edge. The reason why we left that turning is that we didn't want to have to turn around at the top edge and then have it maybe get a little bit distorted and not be able to close it and have a nice clean top edge. Now again, I'm kind of popped open my seam allowances here so it's a little flatter. And we're going to, if your seam allowances have been really perfect, you'll see that they'll nest one against the other. And I'm going to stitch around that, and I'll be back in just a moment. Now, once we've gotten all the way around, we're back to creating our basket. we've got the last step is to take and turn through the hole in the bottom, or the lining, and you just want to gently tug a little at a time. When you're sewing that lining and leaving that opening, you may want to do just a little bit of a back stitch or tie off there, because you're going to be putting a little bit of stress on those seams as you're pulling it from one side to the other. And here we go. It's starting to look like a basket. Okay, now I just need to turn my lining back to the interior and kind of position it down into the corners. Takes a little shaping to get it just right. And then that top edge, you're going to want to go in and press that. You're going to work the lining in the exterior basket and take it to the iron and then press along that edge. And you can even add a top stitch if you like. I went in and top stitched along that just to keep it from rolling to the front. So then, once you've kind of gotten that all adjusted nicely, you can go in then by hand and just close up with a little bit of a whip stitch in the inside that turning spot in your basket. So if you'd like to see more of our Quilting Quickly tutorials, please visit our website. Thanks for joining me today.